Usually when we talk about a life falling apart, we picture something cinematic.
Right, like a movie. We expect an explosion.
Exactly. A sudden job loss, a dramatic breakup, or, a massive undeniable crisis. It's the kind of thing where everyone around you immediately sees the debris.
Yeah, and there's a really clear before and after. The sudden earthquake, basically.
Right. And it's an event that demands an immediate response because you literally have no choice but to deal with it. But the reality for most of us, and definitely for you listening to this right now, is that life doesn't usually explode.
It erodes.
It erodes. It happens in the quietest, most ordinary ways imaginable. So today we're doing a deep dive into a phenomenon called the slow collapse.
Which is such a great term for it.
It really is. And our mission today is to unpack 7 everyday patterns of personal erosion. We're looking at some incredible source material called the silent collapse.
And these are warning signs that, honestly, millions of people brush off every single day.
Right, because there's no smoke and no fire.
Yeah.
You might be right in the middle of it and just keep telling yourself everything is totally fine. Like you just assume this is what adult life is supposed to feel like.
Oh, absolutely. We normalize the erosion. We convince ourselves that being, perpetually drained is some kind of badge of honor. Or just the baseline cost of participating in modern society.
Yeah, like everyone is tired, so I should be tired too.
Exactly. But there is a massive difference between surviving and actually living. I mean, if you're constantly managing what is immediately in front of you, just trying to get through the day, every day you're surviving.
You're trading water. So today's deep dive is really about recognizing those subtle shifts that move us from living into that pure survival mode.
Yeah.
And I want to set the context right out of the gate here. If you recognize yourself in these patterns today, it doesn't mean your life is ruined.
No, not at all. It just means you're human. That is such a vital point. The mind is highly adaptive, A lot of these patterns are actually defense mechanisms. They are your brain's way of coping with just being overwhelmed. So this isn't about guilt. It's about pulling back the curtain on how these mechanisms actually work.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start at the very root of this erosion, which, according to the source, always begins internally.
Yes, the inner erosion.
Right. And the first major shift is that you stop keeping your word, specifically to yourself. So think about the last 10 promises you made to yourself, like, I'm going to wake up 20 minutes early tomorrow.
Or I'm going to finally organize that closet.
I'm not going to check my work email after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And it's incredibly common to just brush it off when we don't follow through. We just blame a lack of willpower.
Yeah, we do. But framing it as a willpower issue completely misses the biological reality of what's happening.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about when you break a promise to someone else, they lose trust in you, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. The exact same mechanism applies internally. Your brain is essentially a prediction machine. It observes your actions to build a model of reality. So when you repeatedly tell yourself you're going to do something, and then you just don't do it, you are training your subconscious to view your conscious intentions as unreliable.
Wow. So you basically categorize yourself as an unreliable narrator in your own life.
Precisely. It creates this heavy cognitive dissonance. Your brain literally starts whispering, we both know you aren't actually going to do this.
That is brutal.
It is. And once that internal trust is gone, taking meaningful action feels impossible because you've stopped believing your own hype. The psychological weight of that constant low-level letdown is incredibly heavy. It acts as a massive drain on your daily energy resources.
Okay, I hear that, but I want to push back a little bit here. Look at the world right now. We're all moving 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Fair point.
Right. So if I promise myself I'm going to cook a healthy dinner, but work runs late, the kids are screaming, so I just, order a pizza.
Yeah.
That just feels like a normal side effect of a hectic week.
Sure.
It doesn't feel like some catastrophic loss of self-trust. Isn't skipping the gym or ordering takeout just basic survival sometimes?
Well, context matters. A single missed workout or a chaotic Tuesday where you order pizza is just life. The distinction lies in the pattern and, more importantly, the emotional residue left behind.
The emotional residue.
Yeah. Are you making an active, conscious choice to pivot your plans because circumstances changed? Or are you chronically making promises you know you won't keep and then rationalizing the failure afterward?
Oh, I see.
It's the continuous habit of letting yourself down and then making excuses for it that causes the damage. You end up carrying the unresolved tension of all those unkept promises.
And that unresolved tension leads right into the next major pattern we found in the source material, which is an unshakable deep fatigue. Basically, you're always tired no matter how much sleep you get.
This is such a common one.
It is. And people are so quick to dismiss this. They'll say, of course I'm tired. I worked a 10-hour shift. Or I'm tired because I'm a parent. But the text draws a very sharp line between physical exhaustion and the kind of fatigue that indicates personal erosion.
Right, because chronic exhaustion that survives a good night's sleep is not a physical problem. It's an alignment problem.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, physical tiredness is cured by rest. You sleep, you feel better. But when you spend your days suppressing emotions or carrying the cognitive load of 100 unkept promises or doing work that feels fundamentally meaningless to you, your brain is burning fuel at an astonishing rate just to maintain the status quo.
It's the kind of tired that sits right behind your eyes.
Yes, that exact feel.
Like where you look at a hobby or a place you used to genuinely love and you just feel nothing, just a total flatline. I actually have an analogy for
Oh,
this.
let's hear it.
It makes me think of how my smartphone behaves when a heavy, corrupted app is running in the background. Like the screen might be off, I might not be actively making a phone call, but the battery is draining rapidly.
Here's the perfect analogy.
Right. That corrupted app is the unresolved internal conflict. It's constantly refreshing, constantly pulling power.
And just like that phone, you can plug it in overnight, get your 8 hours of sleep. But the moment you unplug it in the morning, the battery starts hemorrhaging energy again. Because you haven't closed the app. The tension is still there.
Man. So we had this internal state, a massive deficit of self-trust, and this bone-deep, behind-the-eyes fatigue. But this internal reality rarely stays hidden, does it?
No, it inevitably bleeds outward.
Exactly. It bleeds into how we interact with the physical world and the people in it. Which brings us to the outer mirrors, starting with our relationships. The source says a massive red flag is when your closest relationships start feeling like obligations.
This one is painful, but you really have to pay close attention to your physiological response right before you see close friends or family. Is there genuine anticipation, or is there a low-level dread?
Like, do you find yourself calculating how soon you can leave before you've even arrived?
Oh, exactly.
You show up, you smile, you ask the right questions about their kids or their job. You basically hit your marks like a stage actor. But you aren't really there.
You're just performing the role of good friend.
Yeah. And you leave the interaction feeling completely hollowed out. Why does that happen?
To understand why, we have to look at the cognitive load of vulnerability. Real human connection requires empathy, and empathy requires energy. It takes literal processing power to hold space for someone else's feelings, to actively listen, and to be truly present.
And we just established that our battery is already drained by the background apps.
Right. So when your brain is spending 90% of its energy managing your own suppressed anxiety in that corrupted background app, it literally initiates a brownout.
A brownout.
Yeah, it cuts power to the empathy centers just to keep you upright and functioning.
Oh, wow. So performing is just an energy-saving mode.
Exactly. Performance is a script. You don't have to be vulnerable to read a script.
Well,
But the tragedy of the performance is that it creates emotional distance. You can be surrounded by people, yet feel completely isolated because nobody is interacting with the real you. They're interacting with the avatar you've propped up.
that makes so much sense. It's an energetic defense mechanism. And this lack of energy doesn't just affect how we treat our friends. The source points out it heavily impacts our physical spaces too.
The physical environment is a huge mirror.
Yet another major indicator of the slow collapse is that your environment becomes a reflection of your internal chaos. Like, look around your space right now, the room you're sitting in, your car, your office desk. Does this space help you become who you want to be, or is it quietly draining you?
And we should clarify, we aren't talking about just being a little messy or failing to be a perfect minimalist.
Right, life gets messy.
We are talking about genuine disorder, unaddressed piles of mail, the broken drawer you've meant to fix for 6 months, a laundry basket that has lived in the hallway for 3 straight weeks. These objects start to emit a kind of ambient anxiety.
Ambient anxiety. I have absolutely experienced this. I actually call it the doom pile.
The doom pile, yes.
It's usually a stack of mail, some random receipts, maybe a battery that I don't know if it's dead or alive. And eventually I start treating that doom pile on my kitchen counter like a hostile roommate.
A hostile roommate, that's hilarious.
But it's true. I actively avoid making eye contact with it when I walk into the room. It makes the house feel less like a sanctuary and more like a waiting room.
The hostile roommate is a brilliant way to describe it because your brain is literally treating that pile as a threat. Every time you walk past that broken drawer or that doom pile, your brain subconsciously catalogs it as an open loop.
It registers as a micro-failure.
Exactly, a demand on your future energy.
Another corrupted background app.
Yes. And it creates this brutal feedback loop. Your internal state is overwhelmed, so you neglect your external environment. But then living in a chaotic, broken external environment amplifies your internal stress.
Because the visual noise of the clutter continually signals to your nervous system that your work isn't done.
Making it even harder to relax. You get trapped in this cycle where everything, your loved ones, your home, your basic responsibilities, is viewed as a demand on a completely depleted battery.
Okay, so if your internal life is exhausted, your friendships feel like stage plays, and your kitchen counter is actively judging you.
Human nature dictates that you're going to try to escape.
Right. You have to get away from the pressure. Which brings us to the avoidance trap. A huge symptom of personal erosion is using distraction as a lifestyle.
Distraction is the modern anesthetic.
It really is. It's reaching for your phone, opening an app, or throwing on a deep dive audio, maybe even this one. The literal second there is a quiet moment in your day.
But the key psychological insight here from the source is that the mind doesn't avoid nothing. It avoids something specific.
That's a powerful distinction.
When you instinctively grab your phone while waiting for the elevator or, standing in line at the grocery store, you aren't just looking for entertainment. You are actively blocking out the silence.
Because in the silence, the unmade decisions pop up.